How's it going, everyone? And welcome to part 3 of this 3-part series. In the first 2 parts, I walked you through the initial design stages of an architecture project and kind of the design development. Now we're going to move on to the final presentation and how this actual project turned out. So, as you can see, I'm doing community vendors. If you haven't watched the first 2 videos, I recommend checking them out so you can see kind of how this came to be. So we're working in the Price Hill community here. We have the outskirts of Cincinnati, and then West, East, and Lower Price Hill. And my project is going to be in Lower Price Hill, situated here along the river. So the reason I'm doing this is because Price Hill, or Lower Price Hill, has a big spike in residents here at the 20-year-old age group. And we need to kind of shift that so it's more of a family environment, because looking at this, housing is bad. It's not too good for families, but it's in a good location. So it's just very poverty stricken. People move out once they get money because it's just the community, their overall sense of community isn't necessarily there. So how can we help solve this problem? While there are many reasons or many ways to make Lower Price Hill a better place for people, we know that an issue with the area is that there is a large economic disparity and it lacks the infrastructure needed to support a thriving community. And that's why I have chosen to work in Price Landing Park. And by developing this park, we can start to drive traffic into the community of Lower Price Hill. And in order to trigger developing in an area, there needs to be a cause. As more and more people move into the city, real estate values are increasing, and especially riverfront property, in which this park is an exceptional piece of it. If we develop the park, it will help drive traffic into Lower Price Hill and turn it around on the economic spectrum. Sorry, studying my words there. We plan on introducing a bus stop, soccer field, amphitheater, vendors, bathrooms, and walking and biking trails to the park. And by introducing these programs into the space, we can entice a multitude of people for various activities. And once these activities are ongoing, the need for vendors is dramatically increased, as people will be more willing to indulge in buying from a vendor for the practicality of it. How will these vendors help Lower Price Hill, you might ask? Well, the opportunity to become a vendor in Lower Price Hill will be exclusive for members of the Price Hill community. For instance, Block Coffee is a local coffee shop in Price Hill. And if they felt they wanted to introduce a coffee vendor in Price Landing Park because it's wintertime, or just they want to do it in general, they could do it, whereas Starbucks wouldn't be allowed to, as it's a corporate chain, and it wouldn't help the community. It would just help Starbucks. So that's how we plan on doing it. And in the red dotted line, we can see the actual site and where I'm actually planning on putting these vendors themselves. At the moment, I have drawn up 6 of them, and it's just a bike ride away, or this would be a bus stop, away from the actual Lower Price Hill itself, right on the water. And if you notice, we can see that the terrain actually is shown in the gray. So as you move up from the water, just kind of like normal, it will gradually increase in steepness. So, precedents for my project. Peter Zumthor Zinc Mine Museum. Zumthor uses the land to his advantage with this parasitic building, and it touches the landscape gently and offers amazing views out of the terrain and over the landscape. The structure acts as a shell, which I used, and can contain a container. If we look here, it kind of looks almost like a container, and it's not, and there's a lot more to the project than that, but I used the overall structure of it to sort of influence my design. And then we have Grimshaw pop-up COVID testing centers, where it's a way in which we're living in the pandemic for people to safely go get tested, and this can be moved around. It's mobile, it's a pop-up COVID testing center, so it's designed to keep the circulation outside and the workers inside, which is a more safe environment for social distancing and outside circulation and whatnot. So my initial design, which I think you saw in the last video, we have, we can see here the topography and how it will be playing off of it. So here we have the entrance in a section view and what it would kind of look like. So you would walk in, order, and then walk around, and then order here with some solar panels for sustainability and, you know, that kind of stuff. And then the workers would be kept inside of the center itself, and no one would be allowed in. So we have an entrance, a path in which you travel on, and then wait in line. And then once I did a study on that, I noticed that people, when they would come in, they'd have to order, which is a relatively quick process, and then walk around and then pick up. But then that sort of causes a backup, like a buildup of people in this area on the path walking up to the pickup. So I had to improvise and change the design, as this is not safe for CDC guidelines, and I'll show you what I got next. So this is how I changed the design. So we have 16 solar panels, which is enough energy to also power the restrooms adjacent. I placed the containers next to other students' restrooms and the amphitheater, the bus stop, so it's easily serviceable to a variety of, you know, entertainment activities. We have easily accessible ordering windows, which is designed to avoid congestion within the structure. An outdoor seating and waiting area with enough space to comply with CDC guidelines. If you can see here, you'd walk in and then you'd have room to maneuver, wait for your food, and then pick it up. So we start with assembling the wooden structure. You insert your chosen vendor into the structure here, and then easily swap out vendors as needed. Let's say it's the summertime and there's an ice cream shop that wants to take place of a coffee shop. They can do so by inserting their own vendor right into the skeleton of the structure itself. And then we enjoy growing local businesses, which is always good. That's the whole plan. So we have the ordering station. This is just a floor plan. And so you'd walk up, you'd get your order taken, and then you could circulate around. And then I changed the pickup window location right here. So if you can see here on the top right, we're looking at you walking down. You had some seats here, and then the person actually, you know, hands it down to you. And that way, this area, the exit path, is completely free of congestion. No one's doing anything but exiting here. And then here we can take in the views. We have distance seating, and yeah. So that's what the floor plan would look like. Here's just a section perspective that shows how it would act. On the right side here, it's just a small little walk-in for perishable goods. And then we have your storage here, dishwasher, you know, sink, whatever is needed for the vendor in which is using it. And then you would give your food down to the customers. And then here we just have a circulation diagram that shows in green how people would move around, and then in red how the workers would actually move around. Yeah. And then in mass motion, I ran a simulation which shows how the actual people would enter, how they would walk around, and how they would exit. And then here we have some renders that I did, which shows materiality, how it would look on the actual site itself. Yeah. This is it from the bottom walking path, looking up at it. This is it if we put outdoor seating outside in the front for additional seating to accommodate more people. We can do that, and how it would look overlooking the river. And here's another of how it would look with 1, 2, 3 vendors here. I mean, you could imagine that there'd be trees and whatnot, but this is just a rough idea. And this is how it would look from the actual walking path that we have implemented. So I did a pro forma, and I looked up everything about how much it would cost to sort of build this structure that I designed. So we have all this stuff, the structure, the framing, the plumbing, septic, roofing, all of it here. I mean, I'm sure there'd be some various things that aren't accounted for, but here's an overall total. And then we have gross revenue, which was derived from food trucks, and I took kind of lower than the median as my number, because food trucks kind of move around a lot, but you know, it's relatively the same thing, and it's modularity and kind of one person operating or two people operating the vendor itself. I took out Ohio taxes. Of course, this is in Ohio. FICA taxes, the cost for one employee or with 2 employees or 3 employees. And it looks like the person is actually making out pretty good here, $64,000 per year. So yeah, that is pretty much the project. I'm going to give you a brief walkthrough right here of what the actual site looks like with its surrounding counterparts. And thanks all for watching, and leave a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any ideas for it or just have any comments, let me know. Thanks everybody. Goodbye.